Damien would follow close behind, along with Tai and Saito and Guiche respectively. Leading the way, Louise, riding alongside the back of a griffin with a distinguished nobleman by the name of Wards, captain of the Flying Griffin Squadron. The reason why they were traveling was for a mission by Princess Henrietta herself. In order to bolster the strength of her country, she had agreed to a marriage alliance with that of the Emperor of the country of Germania. However, she had oft sent an indiscreet letter to Prince Wales of Albion, someone of whom she had great affection. If the letter was to be revealed to the public, it could be devastating to the future marriage alliance between Tristain and Germania. And as such, the group was tasked with retrieving the letter before such an event could occur. Of course, Princess Henrietta would have wanted to go herself, but seeing as how the country of Albion was gripped on the verge of a civil war, as a group of noblemen had rose against the royal family, it was dangerous for her to leave on her own behalf. And as such, she had sent Louise along with her familiar and then the few others as well. Of course, Damien wasn't opposed to the mission. It seemed simple enough. Get a letter, stop a war, all in a day's work. However, Saito was the one that looked the most depressed by all of this, and it was clearly easy to see why. Get a hold of yourself, Damien would say to Saito. He didn't really seem to care very much as he rode on the back of one of his horses. He hadn't really paid much attention until Damien finally decided to flick him in the ear. Ow! What was that for? Look, you can pout and be all doom and gloom on your own time. But right now, we have a mission to take care of. Who says I'm pouting? Your face? It's as obvious as all day. Yes, Princess Henrietta has another lover. What did you expect? You thought that you were just going to be her one and only? No, I just... Let's just get this over with. Then we can hurry up and find a way home. Oh, so now you want to hurry up and find a way home. Why? Because things aren't going the way you want it in your perfect little fantasy world? If you want to fight, that's not the point. The point is that up until now, you've been slacking off in terms of trying to find a way home. Honestly, the both of you have. Tai was taken aback by this, but even he had to admit that Damien was right. Damien was the only one who had really been putting in any work to try to find a way home. First, there was Saito, who was just off gallivanting at the princess's castle, believing that everything he did was closer to winning her affections, only to find out that her heart belonged to another. And then there was Tai, who, while he was helping Damien whenever he could, he just spent most of his time gallivanting with Siesta, going on picnics and enjoying a hot tub or doing this and doing that. Damien was the only one who was slaving away over documents and books day in and day out, asking questions, prodding around, trying to figure out any way for them to get home. And Damien, honestly, had had enough of it. What did you guys think? That we were just going to stay here forever? You make that sound like it's a bad thing. On the surface, it's not, but in the end, it is. In the end of the day, we don't belong here. This isn't our world, any of our worlds. The longer we stay here, the longer we get dragged into problems we don't need to be a part of. We have our own worlds and we need to go back. We can't stay here forever. And let me guess, once things stop going your way, you're going to feel the exact same. But I'm just going to make this very clear to you all, right here and right now. The second I find a way out of here, I'm going to take it. If you guys don't come along, then you're going to be stuck here on your own. Unless you're sure that there are other people in your worlds who are going to be capable of coming after you. And for some of you, I highly doubt that. Saito looked up, knowing that Damien was referring to him. Still, though, as the boys bickered amongst themselves, Louise could see that there was definitely tension rising between the three. It wasn't like them, but maybe this was just the pressures that they were feeling. After all, they all probably just wanted to get home as soon as possible. All the while, Wards would continue courting with Louise. After all, they did have an arranged marriage together. On the surface, Louise was happy about this. A nobleman of such prestige and honor looking to take her hand in marriage. But on the other hand, there was Damien. The fact that he seemed so indifferent to it all, like he really didn't care one way or another. She didn't know why, but for some reason that truly bothered her. It made her upset. Like, he could show some emotion, anything. Even when they had stopped for the night to have dinner at a local town, as they sat at the table, she sitting beside Wards, as he and Damien would make conversation, they were cordial and respectful to one another. And yet, all the same, there was a part of her that wished he showed some fire, some passion, anything. He just went through life like all of this was just normal. Of course, everyone was even more taken aback when Wards challenged Damien to a duel, and Damien happily accepted. Once dinner was over, Damien was going back to his room for the night. However, Louise would stop him in the hall, wanting to talk to him. The conversation was cordial, casual to say the least, just talking about small things, Damien not showing any emotion one way or another, and finally Louise had been driven to the point where she couldn't take it any longer. If you're mad about something, you can just say it. I'm not mad about anything. Then why have you been this way? You haven't said much of anything. You haven't done much of anything. You know I do still depend on you, of course, and I'll help you any way that I can. That's it? That's all you have to say? Well, what else are you expecting me to say? I don't know. Something? Anything? It's about Wards, isn't it? What? You want me to say something? What are you looking for? Some type of fight? Squabble? You want two guys that you think are pretty cool and pretty hot to fight over you? To fight for your hand? I'm sorry, but if that's what you're expecting, you're not going to get it from me. Who said I was even asking for that? Then what are you looking for? What's even the point of having this conversation? What if I just want to have a conversation with you? Is there something wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with that. But what are you getting out of the conversation? What does it matter what I'm getting out of the conversation? I just want to talk to you. Okay, then what do you want to talk about? I don't know, anything. I just wish you'd show some emotion, some passion, fight. You just act so cold and indifferent all the time. It's annoying. Why is that? Isn't that what you would want from your familiar? After all, I'm just being professional. It's not always about being professional. Well, how else are we supposed to be, huh? Can you even say that we're friends? We're acquaintances at best. Nothing more, nothing less. That's all you see us as? It's all we've ever been. We've never been anything more. We would never be. I guess you're right. I guess that's all we'll ever be. Louise would simply storm off. Guiche, overhearing the conversation, couldn't help but butt in. Sounds like a lover's quarrel. What are you talking about, Guiche? We're obviously not lovers. Huh. Maybe from your point of view, but it's obvious that Louise sees you in a high regard, higher than most, in fact. You've humbled that girl in many ways, and you've changed her for the better. So, all I did was offer practical advice. It's more than that. You're the only one who's been willing to do such a thing. I have to admit, when we first met, I didn't quite like you. Funny, that hasn't changed very much. All I'm saying is, you're different from most others, Damien. The way you carry yourself, the way you act, it's something worth being admired. And whether you like it or not, there are people who do pay attention to you, who see you in those qualities, and as a result, they do have a fondness to want to get closer to you. But you always put up a wall and keep people out, especially Louise. That girl wants to open up to you in a way that she wouldn't to just anyone else. Why does it matter? She's already predestined to marry someone else. I'm from another world. I have no intentions on staying here forever. That may very well be, but still. You don't want to live life with any regrets. That's all. The next day, Damien and Ward would engage in sword combat. Damien holding Delflinger and standing at the ready, as he and Ward would trade strikes. The battle was pretty evenly matched, although Damien would have to admit Ward was a lot more skilled than he was willing to give him credit for in the beginning. You see, Damien was always so used to fighting against low-level thugs and wannabe swordsmen, only occasionally fighting against someone who could genuinely be considered his equal. He hadn't fought in someone like that in such a long time, and as a result, it was starting to get the better of him in a way. Ward's was definitely skilled and not someone to be taken lightly. Damien, however, while being able to hold his own, would actually find himself hitting against the ground, finding himself suffering defeat. Of course, though, Damien wasn't too haughty as to not accept when he had lost. "You fought well," Ward would say to Damien, extending his hand and helping the young man up. "I'd say in just a few years' time, you truly will make one of the world's finest swordsmen. I must say, you're a lot more skilled than I would have given you credit for. I must admit, I did underestimate you." With that, the men would shake hands as Damien would go into town to pick up supplies. Louise wanted to say something, but she just couldn't find the heart to do so. In the meanwhile, Saito and Tai were also gathering supplies, and Tai could see that Saito still had a lot on his mind. "You're still thinking about her, aren't you?" Tai would ask him. "Oh, no, it's nothing like, come on. Just let it out. I really liked her. I mean, sure, all of this was new to me and everything, but I mean, the more I got to know of her, the more I just liked being around her. I like protecting her. It gave me a sense of purpose. Back in my world, when I got this scarab on my back, I had no idea what I was supposed to do with it. I mean, sure, there are a lot of other heroes all around the world where I come from, but even still, it wasn't like there was much of a reason for me to be a hero. It's not like there were super criminals or crime in my area, nothing worth fighting. In the end, I felt like I didn't have much of a purpose. But then I came here, I met you guys, and ever since then I felt like I've had a place to belong. And well, you're worried that when you go back, you won't have that purpose anymore. All that power and nothing to use it for. Protecting Henrietta gives me a purpose. It makes me happy. It's something I like to do. But now she has someone else. I mean, someone that she likes and cares for. And you think she doesn't like you? That she doesn't care? I see the way she looks at you. The way her face lights up whenever you transform into your Blue Beetle state. The way that you're able to move so effortlessly to defend her no matter what. You can't say that she doesn't appreciate that. Yeah, but still, she has, so what? So what if she loves someone else? it doesn't change the fact that she still has opening in her heart for you. Tell me something. Knowing that she has another love, someone else, does it change the way you feel about her? Does it change the way you would act? Right now, if she were falling from the sky and you were the only one around, would you just turn away because she has someone else? Of course not. I wouldn't let her hit the ground. I'd always be there to catch her. Then that shouldn't change. Regardless as to how she feels romantically, what matters is that you are a hero. You're the one that's chosen to protect her. No matter what happens, when the time comes, you're the one she has to depend on. Can't you do that? Even if she doesn't feel the same way for you. Does it change the way that you would act for her? Thinking about it from that perspective, Saito realized that Tai was right. No matter what their relationship would be, Saito knew that he wanted to help her, to keep her safe, to protect her no matter what. As long as she needed him, then he would do everything in his strength. In the meantime, as the boys would gather together once again, they were looking to see where Wards and Louise had gone, although they had seemingly vanished. And their efforts were about to get much, much worse, when suddenly, multi-earth golems would start to arise from the ground, looking to attack. They were able to tell immediately who it came from. "It's Farquet the thief," Damien would say as he drew his sword. "Get ready for a fight, guys." "But wasn't she in prison? How did she even escape?" "It doesn't matter. Get ready, she's coming." In the meantime, Wards and Louise would arrive to Albion, the floating continent. The reason why they had gone on ahead was because Louise believed that the boys had simply returned home and that they had left the mission to just the two of them. At least that's what she was led to believe. Eventually, they would arrive to the rendezvous, meeting with Prince Wales. At first he was apprehensive, but upon learning of her arrival and why she had come, he was grateful that Louise had shown up when she had. Currently, Prince Wales was battling the uprising against the renegade nobles. However, he had uncovered a much more sinister plot. That the nobles that had been rising up against his family were nothing more but puppets being used by an even greater evil, a group known only as the Reconquista. They sought to take over Albion, and then to use it as a focal point in hopes of taking over the continent. Louise would fulfill her mission, delivering the letter to Wales and retrieving the one that was meant for him from Henrietta. Of course, Louise wanted to inquire more about the letter, but Wales would only reply that it was something only meant for two. But the insinuation of what the letter truly meant was more than enough for Louise to pick up on. However, there was a much more sinister plot at work. From the shadows, the one known as Cromwell would use the stolen ring of the water spirit to use mind control upon Louise. The reason being was to try to expedite the wedding and to try to get the marriage between both Wards and Louise approved as a way of gaining more favor within the alliance. However, before the marriage ceremony had a chance to continue, the doors would burst open, Damien stepping into the forefront with his sword drawn. Louise would snap out of the trance, as Wards would only scowl. "My master said you would be a perceptive one, but still, To think that you would have caught on to our plans so quickly. It wasn't too bad, and I have to say, the golems would have held us up, but thankfully we had some help. That being the likes of Kershay and Tabitha, who arrived in the nick of time, helping to fend off the golems, while Geesh, using his earth mole, would get as close as he could, aiding Damien in getting to the church as soon as possible to stop the wedding. However, for Wards, this changed nothing, seeking to simply move into action a lot sooner. He drew his sword, attempting to strike down Prince Wales. However, before he could do so, another sword would arrive, catching his at the last second, a blue and black metallic sword, and standing before him, a blue and black armored warrior. "Who are you?" Prince Wales would ask. "I'm the familiar of Princess Henrietta, Saito Higuraya, the Blue Beetle. And right now, we need to get you guys out of here." Wards would back away as suddenly Ty, the Green Lantern, would come charging in. The three boys, along with Prince Wales, who had drawn his sword, fighting off against his co-conspirators, as this was an attempted coup d'etat. Thankfully, they were able to fend off against the renegade soldiers. However, while Wards was not able to fulfill the wedding contract with he and Louise, he had managed to still gain the letter that they had been looking for this whole time, before fleeing off in the process. Thankfully, the others were able to escape before the church that had been rigged to explode would trap them inside and silence them once and for all. Prince Wales was surprised by the meaning of all these individuals. They were all strange to say the least, but still, he was thankful. That could have been far more worse. "I need to return back to Albion," Prince Wales would say. "That's not gonna be for the best," Damien would chime in, everyone taking aback their own ways of transportation, with Saito carrying the prince of all people as they made their way back to Tristain. Upon arriving, Henrietta would be surprised to see Prince Wales as she rushed over to him once Saito had set him down. She immediately wrapped her arms around him and he her as well, the two of them holding on to one another in the embrace. Saito looked on, crestfallen, before deciding to reconvene with the others. "I can't believe they brought you here," Henrietta would say. "I was surprised also, but still, I am grateful, especially for your familiar. He saved my life." "He did?" "Saito." "Yeah, Princess?" "Thank you. Thank you so much." She ran over and hugged him as well. He gave her a brief hug before excusing himself. While it wasn't for the best, this was the best outcome. Right now, Albion was in the grip of being overrun. The few loyalists that remained with the prince had managed to escape, and they were seeking refuge in the country of Tristain. But unfortunately, that would mean that the country of Albion had fallen. Thankfully, among those of the royal family that escaped would be Prince Wales' aunt. She was a guest at the country of Tristain, and she was happy to see that her nephew was alive and well. In the meantime, Damien and the others still had their own issues to work out. I spoke with Professor Colbert. He says that there's something that we should look for. It could be the key to us getting home. Are you guys in? Damien and Ty would look at one another. If this was really what they thought it was, then this might be the opportunity they were looking for. The two would simply nod and agree, as Damien would tell them what he had found. Before long, they would lead and make their way inside of a catacomb. Before it would lead them to an open area in the forest. Unsurprisingly, they would be accompanied by the likes of Louise, Siesta, Tabitha, Kershay, Guiche, and even Professor Colbert himself. The reason being was that a short time ago, Colbert had revealed to Damien something that was in the treasury. It was a strange liquid they kept in a vial. He wasn't sure what it was, but he had been trying to recreate it. However, just upon smelling it, Damien knew exactly what this was. It's gasoline. Gasoline? It's a form of fuel in our world. It's a way we've used to harness and power different machinery. I see. Fascinating, this gasoline. But wait, why would you have gasoline? It was an artifact that was found with the Great Dragon. A Great Dragon? Gasoline and a Great Dragon. That could only mean... It led them to where they were now, where they found what appeared to be an abandoned hangar of sorts, like a storage garage. Opening the door, Damien, Tai, and Saito recognized what was before them. Saito being the first one to step forward. This thing, I know exactly what it is. We all do. It's a plane, but it's not just any plane, Saito would say, getting closer to it. This model, don't you know what it is? I do, Damien would say next as he touched it, the ruin on his hand beginning to glow. A6M-0 fighter, Japanese aircraft from World War II. Exactly, it's a zero. It's something that's been a part of my family for a while, Siesta would say. Wait, it has? Well, until now I didn't know what you would call it, but my great-grandfather, it was said that this is how he came here. Although I only thought that it was a myth, I didn't think it would be true. Your great-grandfather? Saito would say. I always thought there was something peculiar about you. What are you talking about? Tai would ask. Come on, look at me and look at her. Don't you see it? She has the blood of Japan running through her. She might be from my world. Well, at least her grandfather might have been. But still, her grandfather came to this world? How was that even possible? Did he get summoned too? No. The legend says that a long time ago, during the day of the eclipse, there were two dragons that flew into the sky. However, while one dragon flew into the eclipse, the other one did not. My great-grandfather said that he was flying in the air for a long time and eventually had to land because he couldn't find a way home. Then the eclipse is the key, Damien would say. Of course! That must be a way for you all to return home. It's during the day of the solar eclipse. If I had to take a guess, there were two of these so-called planes that were flying in the sky. Chances are, one of them flew back in the eclipse and returned home. The other one was stuck here. This changes everything. We actually have a way of using this thing, Damien would say. Saito, I want you to try to link the scarab to this machine. See if you can upgrade it. Upgrade it? Yeah, your scarab. You can bond with any form of tech, can't you? And create it? Yeah, I can. So see if you can upgrade this thing with your scarab. Saito would enter into his blue beetle form. As he entered inside of the cockpit, the scarab would morph and attach itself to the Zero, the fighter jet transforming and changing, its old and outdated technology upgraded to a more alienistic and much more modern design. until eventually the jet had turned into a blue and black world-class fighter jet. That's what I call an upgrade, Ty would say. It's exactly what we need. I can use this. Reverse engineering the technology, using the power of the scarab, and even your lantern ring. We can build this bad boy up, and I can use it to fly into the next solar eclipse. Hey, but what about us? You guys can already fly, so you don't have to worry about that. They would both nod, because technically that was true. They could fly with ease. It was Damien who was going to need all the help he could get. The next eclipse, it's going to be in 3 days' time, Colbert would say. 3 days? Immediately, with Ty using the power of the lantern ring, he would help lift the Zero into the sky, and with aid from the other students, they would bring it to the Tristain Academy campus. Upon arriving out into the courtyard, everyone marveling at the new technology that was being shown before them, a real-life plane, or what they referred to as a dragon. Damien decided that this thing needed a proper name. It was black and blue after all, so he decided he'd call it the Nightwing. The Nightwing? Why would you call it that? It's something as a tribute to my brother. I think he'd like it. Matches his color scheme. Anyway, the eclipse is going to be in 3 days' time. When it comes, we're going to make our way through it. But how do we know we'll get back home? Maybe if we each go through the eclipse, it'll take us back to our respective worlds. You really think so? That'll be possible? Yeah, I'm willing to bet on it. The eclipse, that's going to be our way home. When it comes, one by one, we're each going to head straight into it. At best, we'll each go back to our own worlds. Or maybe we'll wind up in a different one. Maybe one that has better multiverse technology. And then from there, we'll just have to try to make our way. Yeah, but again, it's our only chance, Damien would say. Who knows when the next eclipse is going to be? It won't be for a long time, Colbert would say. If you truly wish to try to get back home, this might be your only chance. The boys would nod solemnly. For Louise, and even for Siesta, a day that neither one of them truly wished to come was upon them. In just 3 days' time, their familiars, their friends, they would be gone. And as if that wasn't bad enough, Guiche would come running through the crowd with a look of terror on his face. This is bad. This is really bad. This is really, really bad. Calm down, Guiche. What's the matter? It's the country of Albion. It's been taken over. Taken over? And what's worse, the new regime, they've just declared war on Tristain. Declared war? There would be murmuring amongst all of the students and even the staff. War was coming to their country. And the enemy forces would arrive in just 3 days' time. This concludes Familiar of Zero, Tales of the Robin. What If Robin Was Louise's Familiar? Season 1, Part 5. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that is to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we will be concluding this series with the Season 1 finale, Familiar of Zero, Tales of the Robin. What If Robin Was Louise's Familiar? Season 1, Part 6, The the Season 1 finale. Thank you all for your support with this new series, and I hope you'll stay tuned for the Season 1 finale and for everything else that's to come out now and in the future. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.